Okay, so this is the new tool I recently discovered. It's not very different than what we have been using so far. Okay, so we have been using IntelliJ from JetBrains, right? Um, and we were using community version of IntelliJ. Now IntelliJ is a generic tool for any Java related development. So a lot of developers also use it. So it is has all the generic capabilities which are required to do or write some Java programs or Java applications for that matter. But there was no such tool which is sort of specialized in test automation. Uh, and I think it's been maybe 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, this Selenium with Java and all these things are there. But there was no such tool, which at least I encountered. And very recently, I discovered this tool, which was there, which was launched by JetBrains itself, like one year back, I guess, at least 1 year back, because I saw a video which was created by someone 1 year back. So I assume it's being launched since then, and it has some native capabilities of and which will like tools and capabilities which will help you in writing your test automation with ease. So I'll just show you. It's not, as I said, not very different than how you were using JetBrains idea or IntelliJ. It just has few more features which I'll show. So first of all, to get access to this, you have to go to let me quickly come here. You have to go to JetBrains Aqua. Okay, so this is IDE for test automation. And you go and click here, and then it has a lot of support. It's just not for Selenium or something, but you can use, Playwright, Cypress, JavaScript, TypeScript, all these things you can also do from here. Okay, and pricing is free, which is for the community version. It's free. All you have to do is to download and register. So once you do a register, you will going to get an invite to your email inbox. There you will get some activation code, and then this will be free for at least I think 1 year or 2 years, something like that. Okay, and this is how it looks like. So once you download this, you get to see something, as I said, very similar to the um, to your IntelliJ. So it has same features. It has few things which you will see here called as Web Inspector. This is was never there for any other IDE which traditional test automation engineers were using before. And from within the same IDE, you can actually go navigate to the browser and then start checking the locators and Xpaths and this and that, everything. So I've also just very recently, like since yesterday, I've been using it. So, and um, it's a good tool. It's a good addition. And I think I will recommend this to you guys as well. It's not that without this you cannot do, because you have been using IntelliJ. This is not something which is a necessity within an IDE for Java development, Java test automation development. But it's good to have, because you can see few things here, and then it tells you that this locator is able to find one element directly within the code itself, which I'll show later. Okay, so what we're going to do today is I have opened the same program. Yeah, sorry. Okay, my voice is breaking, is it? Oh, I saw something in the chat. Your voice is breaking up.
It's clear for us, for me.
Oh, it's clear? Rituja,
Yeah.
is it clear for you now?
No.
Okay, Siddharth, are you able to hear me properly? Okay, Satya, you are able to hear me properly?
Yes.
Okay, I think Rituja, is something wrong at your end. Can you try joining from other device as well? Maybe you can join from 2 devices, maybe mobile, or maybe from the mobile data plan, perhaps, if Wi-Fi is not very good. Because I think because Satya is able to confirm that he is able to hear me properly, and I conclude that the problem is not at my end. Huh? Okay, so I'll just continue. Okay, so yeah, so this is what I was talking about. So you can use this IntelliJ, sorry, JetBrains Aqua, and it acts very similar to that with more additions, very similar to the idea, IntelliJ idea, and very similar similar to that with some additional capabilities of Web Inspector and something on database connections and a few things. I have not explored all the things, but yeah, it's good. It's a good tool, I think, so far. My experience says. So, what we have been doing, we have been writing. I mean, we are primarily focused from past 8 sessions. I think we're primarily focused more on framework, and then we were trying to understand what this a framework should contain and what are the building blocks of the framework, how to go and develop that, what kind of libraries we can use there. So different building blocks, so to say, for a good framework, right? And we ended up having around 8 sessions, right? And I have published all those sessions here, okay, from 1 to 8. And the reason for these sessions, because a few people, Rituja, joined for the first time. So I started these sessions for my dear friend Satya here. And I thought, since I am talking about these things, why not I invite more people? So I start inviting more people. So I was primarily focused, and Satya here is an experienced person who has quite a good number of years in QTP, UFT. I think that's what it's called now, right? So, and then he wanted to add on Selenium skill set. So I started with this, but since he's experienced, I started more experienced topics, which is suitable for the experienced person, or advanced topics suitable for the experienced person. And I was primarily focused on the framework aspects of things. But I think now it also makes sense to start talking more on Selenium library, the Selenium capabilities, like how will you automate certain things, how will you introduce synchronizations, how will you do few things, small things here and there, so as to make a scenario working or automating a scenario and all those things, right? So this was the reason I'm today thinking of writing a plain vanilla Selenium scripts in order to give a good understanding to anyone who is joining for the first time or watching it for the first time. And then I'll try to automate. Meanwhile, within the same script writing, I will try to automate a scenario from Amazon.in, and I will try to pick up a complex scenario, a relatively complex scenario, where I will try to add 2 3 products into the add to cart, and then I'll try to match with the amount which I've added is matching with the what is added in the cart. So this is the scenario which I would like to do. But in order to do that, there are a hell lot of concepts I will be using. Okay, so I will be using, of course, the basic web driver, this and that, and then invoking, and then synchronizations, Xpaths, different kinds of Xpaths, list of web elements. Um, okay, maybe I'll just quickly show here also. I've actually written it down, which is my first Selenium simple test case. This is what I've been trying to automate since morning itself. And I thought I will explain all these things. So I've used many things within, and I will try to do the same in front of you so that I could explain each and every step in detail while I do it. Okay, let me not do this here. I will try to open a new window, basically. So I go here and I will go and click on new project. I'm creating a new project. So let's just start from a basic project. So if you're doing it for the first time, that's what you have to do. So I'm now, after 8 sessions of framework and something on Selenium and different libraries, I'm again touching base on the basics. So let's start with the basics of Selenium again, but I will add on more complexities and more features of Selenium which Selenium can provide. And I will do this I will do this in the process of automating a test case. And test case which I've chosen is relatively complex, so that I will get opportunity to explain more, fundamental concepts within Selenium. So now I'm starting a new project. So I'll say my first basic project. Okay, and then I want this to be a Maven build system. Okay, right now, if this is the default setting you have, just keep it default. And the advanced settings, it's also okay. Oh, sorry, by the way, I was supposed to create a Maven project actually. So I have to select the Maven, and in the group ID, you can choose it. You can let it as it is, or you can modify based on whatever values you want to give it. I would explain group ID, artifact ID later perhaps, because this is Maven concept, and I'm assuming that you know at least basic of what Maven is and what it is doing. So I'll go and click on create, and it will ask me, I'll say new window here. Okay, so I have a new project and I have a POM file here. Okay, the first thing first, all I need for today's session is a single file called as Selenium, because that's what I will be using to automate my browser. And what I'll do here is let me copy it from my existing place. I will just copy the dependency. I will add our dependencies here and I will add it. Okay, so now I have a Selenium library. Then this means I can now write my Selenium related code in my project here. So I'll go to Maven and I will go and click on reload. Okay, once I do a reload, if it is not downloaded, it will start downloading it for you. Okay, then what I need to do is I have this Maven folder structure, source main Java. I have also test Java. I'm going to go and create a new package here. I want to say I am creating a COM, and inside that I'm saying I want the package, let's say example. And within the example, let's say I am creating a Java class. I'll say my first Selenium test. Okay. Now what I'll do is I will then go and add a public static void main, because I'm not using any framework like JUnit, TestNG, Cucumber. I'm not using any of that. Okay. Because my today's focus is only on Selenium. I don't want to mix up these two concepts of framework, JUnit, TestNG, Cucumber with Selenium for the sake of simplicity. Okay, now once I'm here, let me make it a bit bigger. So I have class, I have a static void main, and that's where I'm going to go and write my test case. So to start a test case, by the way, what scenario are we doing here? Okay, so we are doing this scenario. That means I go and open a browser. I navigate to Amazon.in. I search for Samsung, and then I get. I need to remove this because this has been added already. Okay. Okay, so I search for Samsung, and then I get to see all this products here. All I need to do is to click on add to cart. Once I do add to cart, I need to validate that the count has been increased by 1 and the amount is reflective of what was being displayed earlier. Then I want to click on add to cart again, and I need to make sure that it is also updated. Now failed to add item for some reason whatsoever. And this is how you catch the defect. Eventually it is supposed to add to cart and it was supposed to add here, but didn't happen. Okay. Satya, are you okay if I switch in English and Hindi both?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
ठीक है, so ये defect भी हो सकता है. We can call this as a defect also. Okay, which it is कि मैंने click किया add to cart पे, यहाँ पे add नहीं हुआ basically. Okay. This is a scenario which we want to do, right? So to start with, all I need to do, I need to start with web driver is equal to new Chrome driver, right? So this is the first line of code I will go and write. I'm going to use something called as GitHub Copilot. This is what I have already installed in all my IDEs, and this auto generates my code. Okay, why I'm telling you this is because you will not see this. You may not get confused. Hey, when Akash was doing it, तब ये ऐसा दिख रहा था, it was coming automatically. Now for you it's not coming. For me, all I have to do is to press a tab and the code is just being written for me. For you it will not happen, so don't get confused. For you will have to go and write it by your own hands, which is also a good thing when you're learning it. Okay, then once I do this, then it will ask me for some imports, which it's not giving. Why? Let's see. I refresh it again. dependencies. I have Selenium dependencies. Let's see. Okay, new Chrome driver. Let me open it again. Something not right. So I say web driver, new Chrome driver, and then I'll say import class. Now it's coming. Okay, and then I say driver.get. This we use for invoking the browser. So this line will open the browser, and this line will open, or this line will navigate to the URL which I want. ठीक है, so मैं यहाँ जाऊँगा www dot I want amazon.in. I want to navigate to amazon.in. Okay. Next thing which I want to do is, okay, so by the time you have written this, it's always makes sense to keep running your code, right? Doesn't harm, because you always want to make sure that line which you have just written actually works, rather than accumulating कि पहले पूरा lines लिख लूंगा उसके बाद end में run करूंगा, which is not a good strategy. So when you're developing, make sure you keep running your code. So now I've just written 2 lines and I'm running my code. Okay, so the code, when I ran, it opened the browser. This line opened the browser. This line navigated. Now next thing which I would do is I want to maximize my browser. Right, I want to make sure that my browser is bigger. Right now, if you see, the browser which I opened is only half, just not maximized. So I'll say driver.manage dot window dot maximize. So now when I run it, it will go and maximize. I'm not going to run now again. हम वैसे भी बाद में run करेंगे, तो at that time you will see. But I'll just simply set window.maximize and it will maximize it for me. Okay, what next? Then post that, all we need to do is, let me close all that, open windows. Okay, now what next? Next thing I want to do is I want to search for the product Samsung. Okay, now I have two options: either go and open the browser or simply click on Web Inspector. Okay, so this is the feature of Aqua which you can use. So I go to Web Inspector, and right now there's nothing. So I will just go here and select this. Okay, I click here, I call this, and this is what it will show me. And if you notice, it has started showing me all the evaluators and this and that, and I can start searching. I can start selecting. So I go here, it is now telling me the whole different types of selectors which it has. When I click here, it will say, do you want CSS or do you want XPath? I say XPath, and XPath, it says there are multiple variants, one match, but multiple variants. If you click here, so you say you can locate this element based on multiple, there are different ways of finding the same element basically. कि इतने सारे तरीके हैं, इतने सारे XPath उसने मेरे लिए generate किए, so that I can do it myself. I don't have to, I can go and choose from them. मुझे खुद से वहां अलग से जाकर लिखने की जरूरत नहीं है. I can just use this, copy from here and use it. And there are different variants for it. Okay, but हमें इतने variant की जरूरत नहीं है. One, I think one is enough. If I go to XPath, okay, let me go and quickly search again. Okay, this is enough for me. This XPath is enough for me, right? And I will also talk few things on XPath. So one XPath is, this is what it's giving me. Another way of finding the XPath, which is the traditional way of doing it, is, let me show that very quickly. Incognito, bring it here, amazon.in. Okay, another way is I do here, I do a right click, and then I go here, then I say Control F. Okay, either I click here, I see IDS2 search text box, and then I simply say /, which means find anywhere. I say input, means the tag name is input. Then I say brackets, square brackets, which means it is the predicate, means मुझे यहाँ पे filter डालना है. Filtering, whatever you're putting inside double square brackets, मतलब एक filter है, this type of filter, or also called as predicate. So मुझे predicate or condition कुछ डालना पड़ेगा, so that it tune down to that specific element which I want to find. So I go here, say ID, and it gives me this ID. So this is a traditional way of doing it. Rather, if you are using this software or this IDE, it can automatically generate it for you. Okay, which is a good feature, I would say, and gives you multiple variants also. So now next thing which I do is I will go and try to find the elements. So I say driver dot find element. So usually you see there are two elements, find element and find two methods, find element and find elements. Find element returns a single web element, find elements return a list of web elements. Right now मुझे पता है कि मेरे पास एक ही element है, one match. That means I can safely use find element because it's always going to return me single element, right? So I say find element and say by dot xpath, and inside this I'm going to enter the xpath which I've just copied from my browser earlier. Okay, and this is going to return me a web element. So I say web element, ये मुझे web element return करेगा. यहाँ मैं जाऊँगा web element में import class, and then here I say search box. Oops, search box. Okay, another option I had that I will not do this. I simply do send keys directly here so that मुझको ये line नहीं लिखनी पड़ेगी. I will not have to go and write this. कि यहाँ पे drivers में find element apply करो and then you simply say send keys and that's all. But I am dividing this into two steps for the sake of simplicity, so that you understand, for the sake of clarity, so that you understand how things are happening. Then I say search box. So search box is an object of class web element. In Java, everything is organized between classes and objects. So this specific method of find element, once it finds the element based on an XPath, ये एक object return करता है. It returns an object. Okay. So once it returns an object, you say search box dot send keys. And here I'm simply saying I want to search for a product Samsung. Okay, fine. So now search box dot send keys, it's searching for the Samsung. Sorry, it's sending these keys as Samsung. Next thing I need to do is I go back here. I can do that from here itself. So I go web inspector. Next thing which I want is this. Oops, sorry. This. Now this one is ID, nav, search button, submit button. This is CSS. I can click on XPath. I'm more interested in using XPaths. So I say ID, nav, search, submit button. This also has a unique match. And if you see in code itself, it shows this small icon saying, if you click on this and it is showing 1, that means within the code itself, you can validate whether your XPaths are correct or not. If our XPaths are not correct, it will start showing 0. It means the XPath which you're using has no match currently, which is also, I think, a good feature that you can get direct feedback. Your IntelliJ, your IDE is giving you this feedback of the locators, about the locators which you are using, whether they are good or whether they are not, based on what you see here. Okay. Always crave for that you get one until unless you really are interested in getting more. Maybe you are getting list of web elements, then it will show more. But right now we only care about कि मुझे एक ही element मिलना चाहिए. I want to make sure that I only get one element. Okay, otherwise there will be a clash. So now next thing which I do is I'll say driver dot find element, same thing, and I think it's generating it for me, and I will, for the sake of saving some time, I will use it. So this is how my GitHub Copilot helps me in writing the code faster. But as I said, you shouldn't use it because you are learning it, and you shouldn't use it. And anyway, it costs some money. Monthly, you have to pay something. But I still suggest don't use it. Just go and write the code by your own fingers. You need to have this muscle memory in your fingers to write these lines basically. Okay, now I will simply say click, or as I said, I could have also used something like this. Well, I think let me do that so that there's no confusion at all. Search box, submit button. Also notice the way I'm writing it. you see the name of the variables, the indentation. When you write your code, make sure you are writing it in a clean way. Okay, I'm not having any comments here. I'm not having any indentation issue. It's not like it's going here. Sorry, it's not like it's going here. This line is going here. This line is going somewhere. Here. Uh, it's not good. So make sure your indentations are good. Always follow this clean code policy. Okay. Your variable name should, for example, I'm using camel casing here. So make sure that whenever you use camel case, you always use camel case everywhere. Don't create irregular naming, or don't use irregular naming conventions. Use proper camel casing naming convention. Okay, then say click. So now I have search box submit button and I'm saying dot click. So this, and let's run it now. Okay, so let's go and run it. I go here, run. And it's always good to keep running your code. Every time you write something, make sure you run it. So this time it has make it bigger. It has maximized it. It should actually go and search for Samsung and click there, and it should be visible. The results are visible. Nothing is happening here because it's just public static void main. There's no logs. There is no screenshots. There is nothing. It's just pure vanilla script. And this is the reason we use framework, because in framework there are a lot of features, a lot of building blocks which we have, which generate reports, which generates logs, which can take screenshots, which have hooks to run before and after, which by which you can use, you can have your invocation of browser handled, closing of the browsers handled at the central place, a single place. All these things comes from the usage of the framework. Right now, we don't have any framework. We just have a plain vanilla public static void main script, and that's where we're writing. Okay. Okay. Once we are here, then we go and start clicking on add to cart. Now, this is where the problem starts, because now there is no single add to cart, rather there are multiple. And we did something last week on this, like how to handle these things. But I'm going to repeat that, but and we will try to use some mechanisms on if there are multiple elements with the same descriptions, how will you handle it? Okay, and this is where we may use list of web elements. But first thing first, I need to go and get the XPath for this. Okay, so I go here and I click on select this. I have something called as auto ID 1 announce. That means I am actually able to identify this uniquely. Okay, I don't think we have problem with the add to cart. And if I go to add to cart second, fine, I will have anything, another one here, auto ID 2. That this means it is unique. So I can just use ID of these two and it will give me the right value. But what if this weren't there? What if ये ID यहाँ पर नहीं होता? What if this unique ID is not there? By the way, how will I go and identify it? Let me write the XPath for this very quickly. Let me make it bigger. Okay, sorry. Now, if I want to write the XPath for this, I will use, let's say, ID. I say control find. It's a button. So I will say /button. / means find it anywhere in a document. Button means find a class, find an element of type button anywhere in the document. And then I'm saying whose ID. When I want to refer the attribute name, I say @. @ means I'm trying to say this is the attribute of name ID, and this is the value. And it is able to uniquely identify it. Now, what if this wasn't there? What if this, right now, if I say 2, it will go and identify the second one, this one. First one is this, second one is this. So this I can directly use, no problem. But that's not what we are talking about. We are talking about what if this was not there at all. So in that case, I need to maybe rely on add to cart button only. Okay. So if I go, let's say this is not there, and I need to find based on add to cart. So I'll say I want to have a button with text as add to cart. So now I'm seeing 18 elements. That's my problem, because now I cannot use it as it is. because if I use it as it is, it will not know which add to cart I want to click, and it will rather keep clicking on the first one again and again and again. And I want what? I want one here, one click here, second click on the second element. So how do we do that? So let's just copy this XPath and we come here and we start writing now. So I say driver dot find element by dot XPath, and here I will mention the XPath. Now this is saying 0 here because here there is no search happened. So if I go and say Samsung, this is just additional validation I'm doing here, huh? Just to tell you that how this thing works. So this should, if I click here, now it's saying 18. That means it is able to locate 18 elements. That means our XPath is right. And that's what we also wanted. We wanted all of them to be available once we do this. But in this case, this time, since it is returning 18 elements, I cannot use find element. Rather, I will have to go ahead and use something called as find elements. Now this find elements returns a list of web element. It doesn't return one element. It returns a list of web element. ये बहुत सारे web element की list मुझको देगा. Okay, and then I go here. Let me remove this. Okay, driver.find elements. Now I will have to store this in the list of web element. List क्या होती है? List in Java is a collection which contains, as the name suggests, list of things. एक list बनाता है जिसको हम index के through access कर सकते हैं. We can access this using index 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. So it is a list of object of type web element. I go import class and I give it a name as list of add to cart button. Okay, fair enough. Now I have list of add to cart button available. I will like to show something as well so that when you want to really know what's happening under the hood, you can actually inspect it. I will put, now this is how you do a debugging. This is how you debug a program. So I go here, click a breakpoint, put a breakpoint here, and then I will run it. But this time I will not run it. This time I will run a debug. I'll say debug and I will put a breakpoint here. So what happens is when this happens, it goes and runs all the lines of code and will stop where it finds the breakpoint. I am asking it to stop at the last line. And I'll show you why I want to stop it at the last line. Samsung, and I go here. Okay, I'm here. Now, if you see, once it happens, when the pointer comes here, I will get an opportunity under the threads and variables segment to verify the values or check the values of my variables. So right now I have this variable called as list of add to cart button, which is this one. And here it is able to capture 15 such buttons. Okay, and all of them is what? It is a web element. Now, how will I go and access this? I can go and do something in the evaluate expression section here and say list of add to cart button. This is a list. To get the first element, I say get and I say 0. So once I say 0, I will get the first element from it. And then I can do something. I can do a click on it. I can do send keys. I can do whatever I want to do. Simply for now, I will simply say get text. Enter, and it should give me the text of that element, which of course is add to cart because that's what I have used here. Okay, but this is just how I was trying to tell you. अगर आपको debugging करनी है और आपको अपने variables आपका जैसे error आ रहा है, आपका error की वजह से चल नहीं रहा, I'm not able to understand, figure out what is causing this error, then debugging is what you look upon. Then debugging karke, you will put breakpoints, you will then run in a debug mode and start visualizing, start checking your variables, what's happening. And while it is already stopped, it is paused at the moment, you can still go ahead and run commands using the evaluate expression segment. This is really cool. This is how most of the developers use most of the time, debugging, because many times you are not writing new code, many times you are modifying the existing code. And when you modify something, things break. and you want to debug why it's breaking. And that's when this debug thing comes into picture. And this is a very, very useful thing. 90% people use it for 90% of their work. Okay. And you need to you need to know how it works, how where to put breakpoints, how to visualize, how to do evaluate expressions, use evaluate expressions here, how to write expressions. Basically जो भी आप यहाँ लिखते हो वो exact same statement आप यहाँ पर execute कर सकते हो. Right? So this is a good thing. Whatever you write here, you can actually go and put here to evaluate it. It will execute for you within the same process and same machine and same execution. Okay, now I'll stop it. Now what I want to tell it, yeah, so go on.
Yeah, why you have printed 0 here?
This is nothing. I just wanted to put a breakpoint. There's no utility of this. I just wanted to stop it. अगर मैं यहाँ नहीं लिखूंगा, if I didn't put it, then debug will not stop. If I simply say debug, oops, sorry. If I say debug and with no breakpoint, it will not stop anywhere. So stop my execution, I need to put a breakpoint somewhere. इसलिए I just added this dummy line here because I wanted to stop here. Just my way of doing, otherwise there's nothing. Okay. I could have written this also, which is fine. Okay, now what I really wanted to talk about is, okay, what's the next step? Next step is मुझे यहाँ click करना है, add to cart पे click करना है और इस add to cart पे click करना है. Okay, how will I do that? I need to click on to add to carts. To do that, I will go here and say dot get zero. That get zero will give me the first element, and I want to go and do a click here. Okay, and then I also want to click on the second element, right? So I say one and dot click. So I have gotten two, and then both of them I want to go and click. So first on the zero, second on the first. Can I run it now? Let's run it to see whether whatever I have written so far works. Okay, so it worked, but it did not work for the second one. Why? I don't know. Okay, let's see. So it worked for this one. Did it click this one? I don't know. I'll go and check. It said it worked, but there is no error. So it means it may have worked. It just didn't added it. Is it? Let's see if I click here. Does it work? It's working. But here there is some no feature offer available 14. Okay,
There's
there's
no
no
add
add.
to cart there.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe something not right. Okay, can I change it from Samsung to iPhone? Let's see. Let's see what happens now. Okay, to add two cards, one click here, second click here, both added. Awesome. So now my script is working. And now comes the validation part. Now, what is it which I need to validate? I need to validate that after I go and click on add to cart, two validations here. Okay, so I am writing a test case. I am a test automation here. I'm just not doing it for fun. I am trying to automate a test case. That means I do something on the application, and the way application is behaving, I want to validate it, whether to check whatever it's doing correctly. And I need to make sure that how many validation points I will put so as to satisfy the test case. I've said a lot of statements here, but simply a test case is आप कुछ करते हो, you do something, and then you check the application is behaving appropriately. Now to validate add to cart functionality, I need to see once I click on add to cart, there are at least two things happening. One is the amount in the cart, sorry, the number of products in the count increases. So if I add one product, it goes to one. I add two products, it goes to two. Second, the total gets updated with the values of the product. So there are two validation points I'm going to put here, one for this, second for this. Okay, now how will I do that? I go here. So now let's start putting some validation points. validation point. So first thing is check the amount. Not the amount, check the number of products in the cart. Okay, to do that, of course, I need to go and search for, go to inspect and try to find its XPath. I go here. Okay, what can I use here? Can I use maybe this? Dev ID nav cart count container. Yeah, why not? It's very straightforward. And once I get this, all I need to do is to get its text. The text is present inside span, but it doesn't matter. In Selenium, if I say get text of this web element, it will give me the value as 2. Now I will go and check my XPath first. So it was a div with the ID as this one. Okay, I think it wasn't ID. It was ID only. What did I miss? Container div ID as nav cart count. Oh, I didn't put a quote here. Okay, now it's able to find it. Cool. Now I will write the code bit quickly because I have a few more things to talk about. Okay, instead of this, I want to say my cart. Okay, so I have a cart icon. I'll say cart count element. Okay, now I will try to print this. I'll say system dot out dot print ln, and here I say count updated to cart count dot get text. Okay, and this printing is not an assertion. Printing is not a validation. Printing is just printing. We don't know whether it is really updated to my test case will not pass or fail. So I need to put some sort of assertion here. I don't have at this moment any assertion library here. I just have one Selenium Java. So what I'll do is I will go and add one assertion library as well from the project which we have been working before. The assertion library I'm going to put here is called as assertj, which looks like this. Okay, assertj. And once I add any dependency, I have to make sure that I do a Maven refresh from here. Okay, I go back and I go back to my test case again. And now after printing, which is okay, I'll say assertions. It's a class from assertj library. Then I say assert that. I want to assert something. I want to say that the cart count dot get text is equal to 2. Okay, so this assertj library gives you something called as fluent interface. That means you can continue to call the methods upon each other. So I say assertion, then I say assert that cart count, assert that cart count get text, then is equal to value as 2. This is a fluent interface which I got from assertj library. I don't need to worry about how they have implemented it. I know the pattern which they have used. It's called as method chaining, and I can just keep calling the methods over each other. And this gives me a fluent way of writing the same thing rather writing it in multiple steps. Assertion assert that is equal to 2. What happens is if due to whatsoever reason, if this is not updated, then the value of the cart count will not update, and this will give me 1 or 0 or maybe nothing, and then it is expected to have 2 and it will just fail. And this is also what I want. I want to fail the test case if after adding these two add to cart button nothing is happening. I want to fail it. Okay, that's first validation. Now let's check the second validation. Check the total amount is updated. Now here we need to do something. Okay, what? Go back here again. Now I want to make sure that when I add these two products, I am able to So the product which I'm adding is actually adding up. I have this product whose price is this. I have this product whose price is this. So when I add them, I need to make sure that the cart also is updated with the right thing. Okay, maybe there's a problem. Maybe here it's showing 50,000 and here it's making calculation based on 48,000. That I'm at loss, right? So I need to catch these kind of bugs. So whatever is being shown here, I need to make sure that they are also available or properly being added there. Okay, what do? I go here and I need to start fetching the prices. How to fetch the price? So I have something called as a price hole here. So if I go and use this span, so this time I'll use span. Okay, so XPath is confusing to you. Always remember, start with double slash, which means find in anywhere. Then start with the name of the tag. So name of the tag in this case is span. So I'm saying span. Then the attribute. So which attribute makes sense here? So either attribute or the text. Attribute here is class, right? So I'll make use of @class is equal to and its value. Value is this, so I'll copy this. Okay, so it is now able to find, but again, it is able to find 16 such elements, which is okay because I need how much? I need actually the first two, because I am always clicking on the first two. There can be cases, test cases, which will demand much more complexity from you. They will say, add 3 products, then add them, go and search for Samsung, and then add 2 more products from there, search then some other product, add 3 more products from there, and then see that everything is being updated. Okay, so these kind of things can happen, and this may require different logic. But right now we are doing some simpler calculation. So now I'm saying span class a price as a whole, and this is giving me 16, which is okay. So first it is giving me this. Second, it will give me 70,000. This one. First, it is giving me 48,000, which is okay. That's what actually I want. So I will again use the same logic which I used earlier, but this time I will do something more. So I will first say I want a list of web element prices, product prices, and I will rather use this span class a price as whole. So I have list of product prices, fine, and then I will say list of product list of product prices. I'll say string price of first product is equal to list of prices dot get 0th. I need to have a 0th element dot get text. Okay. Okay. Before that, let me tell you some more logic. What if we wanted to get hold of all the prices, right? You want to print all the prices. There is a shortcuts to that. I go here, list of product price, then I say for each, something like this. So what I've written here, so for each means I want to iterate a function for each of the element. Now this may be a bit complicated to look at in the beginning if you don't know what's happening, but this is called as lambda expression in Java. So in Java, there's a concept of lambda expression, which means a lambda expression is an expression which can hold a function or a method. Let's just call it a function. In Java terminology, let's call it a function. A function means something which can capable of doing something. When I say for each x and this arrow thingy, and then you have something written here, this what it's saying is there is a method, and in that method you are passing a value called as x, argument as x, and then for each of that argument, what you're passing here, you are printing the text of it. So x dot get text. And this function is going to be executed for each element of list of product prices. And one single statement can now print all the values coming out of this find elements. You will see what's happening. If it is really confusing and you're not getting it, ignore it for now. Okay, don't get bogged down into something which is not important at this moment. But this is called as lambda expression, which you put inside for each statement. Anyway, so now I go here. I don't really need this. I just was trying to show you, if you want to print everything just for the debugging purposes, this is how you can. Okay, now I go here, string price of first product. So I have a price of first product, but my price of first product has some problem because it has, first of all, it is a string, and then it has this special comma in between. And in order to do in order to do mathematical operation, that is addition on these two numbers, I need to make sure I can convert this into string. Sorry, I can convert this into integer. Once I convert this into integer, I will add them, and I will fetch this, convert this into integer as well, and then I'll compare them. That's the goal. That's what I want to do as a validation. So now, right now, I'm just here, and here I will simply say replace, because first of all, I want to replace the character, right? Character, which is comma. I want to remove the comma. Once I have removed the comma, then I will say integer, and then the price of first product int, and integer dot parse int. So integer is a class. There is a method called as parse int, and when I pass any string to it, it can then get converted into an integer. And I want an integer. I don't want strings. I want integer because I would like to add these two values. And in Java, you want to add two values, and if those two values are a string format, in this case it is, then I need to first convert it into an integer. To convert something into integer, I need to use integer dot parse int. Exactly the same thing I would like to do for the second one. I will just copy these two statements. Here I will say second, second. I think here to make it similar, I say first, and I say first. Okay, I'll pass it here, and I will pass it here. And this becomes my one. Okay, so price of first product, get 0 means give me the first product, text of first product. Then price, list of product prices, get 1, give me the second product. Okay, and then convert it into. Then I will do an expected. So I'll say total amount expected, price of first and price of second gives me the expected amount. Okay, now I will go ahead and fetch this part. How will I do that? I go here, search it again. Here, it's also very straightforward. It says that I have a EWC subtotal amount. So I will go here, and instead of this, I will use this. I have a span with class as EWC subtotal amount. And then I would like to go to the span of this. That's where I have a text. So I'll simply say one span, and this gives me this, whose text is this value. I go and click here, and I will again go and fetch it. So I go and click here. This is my subtotal, and I cut and I paste it. Right. Okay, so I have subtotal, and the subtotal, I go here and say int. I think I have to do the same thing here. So actual amount is integer, parse int. So basically I've combined these two statements in the same statement. Int actual amount, integer dot parse int. Subtotal is this. Subtotal dot get 0, get text, get the text, replace the extra value, extra comma which you have there. And then whatever you're getting from here, convert into integer and show the actual amount. Let's just run it. Let's see what happens now. So if I go and run, okay, it has clicked, 2 items added, 2 things. Okay, let's see. Okay, so it's failing now. Why it's failing? It's failing because it's saying exception in thread main, assertion error, expected was 2, but was 0. It failed in the assertion and it tried to print the count. Count updated to 0. But if I go here, count is updated to 2. So what's wrong? Okay. So the thing which is wrong right now is a need for adding a synchronization step. So what happened when I ran it? It ran so fast that after just clicking quickly, it did not wait, because application will do something and will take some time to do it, right? When I go and click on add to cart, it takes some time, it goes rotates here and then it goes and adds it. But my script did not wait for it. My script simply, the moment it clicked on these two products, quickly click here, and then immediately check whether the count is updated or not. Count did not update it immediately. It took its own sweet time to process what I have done and then update the count in the cart. And then my script is not waiting for that to happen. It's just immediately validating it, which is not right. So what I have to do is I need to put some synchronization steps, and that's the concept which I want to talk about, which is very important very important concept in Selenium, because you need to make sure that the script which you're writing, which is Java code, is nothing but a machine, a bot, and you need to make sure that the bot is responding or synchronizing with the responses from the browser, which could be slow, because browser is getting or fetching this information from an external server, and it takes time to process few things. So you need to put some intelligence, you need to give this bot some intelligence so that it waits for a certain condition to happen before proceeding. Okay, so now I have get 0 click, get 1 click. I need to put some sync point here. Sync point here. What can I do? Okay, first thing first. First of all, there is two kinds of weights here. First thing is called as implicit weight, and another one is called as explicit weight. An implicit weight in Selenium means that before it tried to find an element, and if it is not found, it should wait for certain period of time by default. Right now, if this element, let's say add to cart button, is not coming immediately, let's say you load the page, you search for it, and add to cart button is not immediately coming, it's taking some time to come. It happens in many applications that you do something and then it loads slowly. First few elements come, the next element comes, then other elements come. And sometimes this can also happen. Right now, it's not the case here. It add to cart button immediately comes, but imagine it wasn't coming immediately. And if that happens, if that were the case, then these steps will also go and fail, क्योंकि उसको मिलेगा ही नहीं. It will not able to find those elements. Then also it will be a problem. To handle such cases where you don't want your find elements to fail immediately, you want your find element method to wait for a certain amount of time before saying I couldn't find this element. To do that, you need to give a statement at the top. After the moment you go and create this driver, you need to say driver dot manage dot timeouts. Oops. Timeouts. Okay. Why I'm not getting it properly? Okay, I like this. Timeouts dot implicit wait, duration of seconds, and then duration I need to import. So here I'm saying before the find element fails, I need to wait for 10 seconds before find element fails. I need to say don't throw any no such element exception without first waiting for 10 seconds. Or I can increase it. I say wait for 20 seconds or 30 seconds based on your application load time or speed. Okay, this is called as implicit wait. This is done at the driver level, browser level. It is done only once. Now next thing comes the explicit wait. Explicit wait is what we really want. We want to wait until this is updated. Until this is not updated, I don't want to go and check and say my test case failed. So I want to wait for it. To do that, I have this concept of web driver wait. So I will say WebDriver wait. I'll go and create a object of, oh, not WebDriver, it's WebDriver wait. Okay, WebDriver wait. No, I have to provide some keys to it. Here also I'm saying I'm passing a driver object and I'm saying duration, like till what time you actually want to wait. And then I can go and give some conditions. And there are a hell lot of ways you can do this. I will just do a very simpler one. So wait until, then I say expected conditions dot presents attribute element presents staleness of text to be present. I can say text to be present in element. I can do this. So I want to wait until the text of this element, which is this, card count. Okay, let me add this sync point after this line. Can I do this here? Let's see. So I want to say, no, I would like to use some other one. Text to be element located by, maybe text represent element located, text to be element located. I think I'll use this, and I will use the by implementation. Okay, and comma why the error? Why we are getting the error? Or can I, instead of doing this, maybe I will call this later. Oops, so sorry. If I go and do this, and if I do this, so if I, instead of this, I simply say expected condition dot text to be present in element and card count to be true. I think this should work. Huh? So what I'm doing is I have found the element card count and I'm saying wait until the card count value is 2. So now it will not fail immediately. It will wait till it comes, and only if it couldn't find it in 10 seconds, only then it will fail. Let's see. So if I go and run this again, I hope this works. Add to cart, click twice, and let's see. Okay, yeah, that worked. Count updated to 2. Assertion also passed. So this is passed. This is passed. So see, this is how your explicit wait works. There are different ways of writing it. There are many permutation combinations. I'll also explain one more logic. So if expected conditions is not enough, so expected condition is a class in which Selenium has given you, and it usually contains most of the things to wait for invisibility or visibility of elements to be clickable, not clickable, blah blah blah. Attribute contains all these things is there. But if this is not enough for you, then you can write your own functions within. So first thing is you can write using the lambda expressions. Okay, so you can do something like this. This is again the same thing, but you're writing it like this. It's a lambda expressions. Okay, instead of this, you can also go ahead and write some functional interface. Okay, something like this. But then you have to go and implement and override and apply method, something like this. oops, sorry, and then you say this. Now this is also which gives you more flexibility. So if you are not satisfied with expected conditions, for example, it is not enough for you. You need to do certain operations, certain thing, do this and that, and then you want to decide whether I want to return or not. I want to wait for that certain condition to happen. Then you have an option within it to send a function. A function is very similar to your lambda expression. Okay, that means you can pass a function as an argument to a method. So this is a method, argument is this, and you have sent a function, and within the function you have defined another method, and this is where you're writing your logic of waiting. So this kind of flexibility is also available within Selenium, and this is very powerful because it may not, you may be in a situation where you want to, write some more combinations and conditions for waiting, and this should will give you enough flexibility to really do that. Instead of function, you can also pass predicate. If you're saying predicate and function, difference between function and predicate in Java is predicate returns a boolean always, function can return multiple values. So here I can go ahead and say I want to return a boolean. Okay, or if I say predicate, then I have to do certain more things here. Okay, I need to make sure that it only returns one element and nothing else. So there are different combinations is what I'm trying to tell you. I will send you some link also to give you some clarity on it. I think I've written something, a link always embedded. I think I think in the README document of our original repository, I have already placed that link to give you some understanding of how many different kinds of weights we have. Maybe I will just open it. I can quickly show it because it's useful. Maybe, yeah, this one. This is just a Stack Overflow topic. And here you see that how many ways you have for writing those weights. So one I have already told you, WebDriver weight. There's another one called as Fluent weight, which is nothing but a special, which is actually a generic one. WebDriver weight is a special extension of it, of the Fluent weight. If you want more flexibility of polling also, then you can start using Fluent weight. But Fluent weight and WebDriver weight behaves the same way. In Fluent weight, you can add few more conditions of polling and some ignoring exceptions also, which is not here, but you see something like this. If you want to ignore certain exceptions, then you can also do that. Fluent weight will I try explaining more later, but right now what I've used in this case is WebDriver weight, which is there's no example for WebDriver weight here, but it's exactly similar to this. Okay, and in the until you can have predicate, you can have function, and blah blah blah. All those things just works. And whatever you want to do, you just write inside. It's not, you need not have just one line here. You can write the whole logic of writing your synchronization. Maybe sometimes, for example, a typical example, maybe after you do something, you need to wait something to happen in the database. Okay, imagine you are doing something and then you want to wait that once something happens in the database, I want to wait till then you can have your condition here. You can say I want to wait until the database update happens, and database has this. So you can have your select queries JDBC code here, and then it will wait until that happens. So all this thing is also, I think, can be done from here. Okay, this is about the WebDriver weight. Okay, let me quickly go ahead. I don't want to have it here. Go here, and the actual amount. Okay, why it failed? Let me quickly go and check in the console. Where is my console? Run. So I have printed all the values, right? So when I print it, it's all the values has been printed. Now I'm getting some number exception. Okay, number format exception online. This. Okay, the reason I'm getting this is because there is extra space here, and this is not an integer. This is the double which I'm getting here because it's a floating value, float value. So I think I need to do something here. Okay. So first of all, I need to trim it. So I need to remove the extra space which is coming. So I'll say trim, and then I'll say trim here. Let's see, trim, and total amount expected is this, and then I will say, oh, actually I need to put the trim here. So I do a trim here as well. Dot okay, wait. I think I need to simplify this further. Okay, this is giving me string subtotal string. Okay, I'll say dot trim. Then I need to have a double value from here. So I will create a new variable called as double. Okay, I'll here use double dot parse double, and then this is what I'm passing. Double dot parse double is similar to integer dot parse integer. This is a class which has a usual method which can convert a string into an integer. Of course, if you write Akash there in the string, there is no integer which can be converted from there, so it will throw an error. But if there is an actual integer which is represented as a string, that means it has double quotes, then it can go and remove double quotes and convert into an integer type. Same thing happening here. Here it is returning this, but it has decimal values. So it is not able to be, it is cannot be converted using integer dot parse. I need to use double dot parse double. Okay, then it will convert this into a double. And then from there, I can convert this into an integer actually using typecasting. So this is how you typecast in Java. You have a value. You want to convert that value into a different value. Then you can do a typecast. Okay, now this typecast cannot happen everywhere. You cannot cast everything to everything. They have to have some commonalities in between so that they can be convertible. Only in such cases you can really do that. Now I have a subtotal int. I will just go ahead and print this. So I'll say print dot out dot println and say subtotal int. So it will go and print it. Okay, good. And then I will simply put one more assertion. So I'll say assertions dot assert that subtotal int is equal to total amount expected. Actually, this is supposed to be the expected part. So I'll say assertions dot assert that no, it's okay. I think the first element point here is the actual and then the expected. So this is rightly written. Now, if I go and run it again, hope this runs. Okay, awesome. Yeah, it worked. So I have this element which is 11998, which actually matched with this. I can go and do a debug to show you what's happening. I go here, click on debug, and then we will investigate all the variables just to give a feel about whatever we did is working. Okay, you see. So let's investigate. So we have this price which we have fetched. This is coming out to be 4899. How? Because we have this list of elements. It has 16 elements and all of them has some text, and I fetched it. And in order to fetch it, I am using the get 0. That is the first element, get 1 the second element. So I got the price of first, I got the price of second. I then went ahead and added them. So I got the final 119998. Then I fetched the subtotal. Okay, the element as subtotal. Actually, I shouldn't be using the web elements here because it's actually only one. So I could have very well used simply web element, but it's okay. It has just one element. I say subtotal dot get 0 dot get text, and then I fetch the double value. So here, if you see here, I got this. I then converted this into double single 0 dot 0, and then I converted that into a integer. And once I have two integer, one is this one, and second is this one, it matches and my test case is pass. Okay. This is basically what I wanted to talk about today. Any questions so far? Okay, and the next thing which we'll do is, you see the problems here. There is no logging, there is no reporting, there's no screenshot taking, nothing. So eventually what we really are going to be doing is convert this test case into a Cucumber scenario, something like this. So as a user, I want to search a single product in the cart. I am on a search page for product Samsung. I want to add two products in the cart. Cart icon on the top right corner is updated with count as two, and the total number of the two products is displayed in the sidebar. This is what we want to convert our test case into. The reason I went ahead and showed this is I wanted to cover few basics in Selenium about your fluent weight and about the implicit weight, and something about iterating, something about calculations. Okay, so few basic topics, basic things in Java we try to cover here. But I'm going to convert this in our next session. I'm going to convert this, or maybe I'll not wait till next session. I will convert this into Cucumber and I'll record the session. I'll send it. Maybe we'll not do it in live session because we have a lot more many things to cover. I will rather, when I do it, I will record it and I will post it as well, so that you see how a plain vanilla script can be converted into a Cucumber test case. And once I convert into Cucumber test case, it will have reports, it will have logs, it will be more organized, more structured, and everything. Okay, and this is the frame. If you are new, I think Rutuja, you're new here, so you will have to. I will send you some links which we have done in the past, wherein we have developed this framework. And this framework is a Cucumber framework, which has lot many capabilities uh, of writing test case in Cucumber format, generation of the reports, logging. Okay, logging happens like this, and generation of the reports, which actually looks like, I'll show you a glimpse of this. Open in browser and then Chrome. The report will eventually look like this. In the reports, you will have screenshots attached to the report itself. Uh, screenshot will be taken after each step for evidence collection, and all those things you will get to see. Then you can run your test case into multiple browsers. And there's a concept of scenario context, which we have been using a lot. There's a concept, this scenario context about injection, dependency injection, for which we are using Pico container. So all of this I have covered in previous videos, because all the previous videos which we had, which is available on the YouTube channel, the playlist which I will share, all of that was about framework only. Okay, so there I tried to explain all these framework related things. So what we'll do is, in the next session, or rather in the video which I'm going to create, I'm going to mix, I want to convert this test case, first simple Selenium test case, this one, into an actual Cucumber test case, which will I'll integrate this scenario into the Cucumber scenario. Okay, questions? Okay, if not, then I'll just quickly tell you a few more things. One is where we are heading. So we are heading towards a direction where we want that this becomes a fully fledged framework with at least 5 to 10 test cases. And when we automate those test cases, it will be around for the Amazon.in itself. And it will give you a good enough understanding of how a real-time working framework looks like. Most of the framework which you're going to go and see will be based on Cucumber with similar, exactly, of course, it won't be exactly the same because different people have different way of writing the framework, but it will be very similar to what we are doing. The basic fundamentals will be same. And this you can very well use this framework if you develop it enough, the way I'm telling you to. You can directly use this framework in any of your enterprise, grade projects. This is the first thing we want to do. Second thing, we want to understand few more things about test automation, which in regards to CI/CD, as well as Selenium Grid. So mostly the test cases which we develop on our local machine. We do not execute it there. We execute it in the pipeline. So test cases of this types are neither are actually not being executed on a local machine. You in your company mostly will have some CI/CD setup, either in the form of Jenkins or GitLab or GitHub or Circle CI, Travis, or maybe you're using AWS or Azure. It can be anything, but there will be some pipeline setup. That's where these test cases run. And when you execute UI test cases there, you also need to make sure that you have browsers available there, because browser right now I have on my local, but when you run it on a pipeline, there is no browser available. And that's where you have this concept of Selenium Grid comes into picture. That is called as remote execution. So these are the two important concepts which you need to learn. So there are three basically. One is we'll develop this framework further to add more test cases. We have right now added two test cases I have done before earlier. Earlier, we also developed this framework. We added more building blocks. Then we have one more scenario, which I just today added. Rather, I have not added it as a Cucumber scenario yet, but we'll do that. Then we'll try to automate 5 to 4 more scenarios. So this will be like 10 scenarios we will have. We'll try to run them parallelly. We'll learn how to run them parallelly. All those. I think we already have this feature in the framework. Um, Once that is done, we will integrate this with the GitLab. So I think I will start with the GitLab in the next session, where I show you how to integrate this back with the GitLab. But when we do that, we also need to make sure that we have Selenium Grid, and that is another installation which we need to do, for which we will require Docker, because I'm going to install it using Docker, and I'll show you how you can really do this in GitLab, different ways of doing it. So we're going to discuss all of that. So that's what is coming. And I will publish all those links, prerequisites, everything within the group itself, so that you can go through and learn some basics from, before you join next sessions.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. If no,
Akash,
yeah, go on, please.
yeah, can you go to the script? One question.
Okay, the script
Yeah,
which I
yeah,
today developed. Wait,
yeah, yeah,
keep
yeah.
this one. Okay.
Yeah, in this, you do method chaining, right? Dot get, dot click, like dot manage, dot
Yeah,
window,
this
dot
one.
maximize. Yeah,
Mhm.
this below that driver dot manage dot window dot maximize. Is it we have to do it in this sequence only?
Okay, so this method chaining, right? This is not something
Uh,
which we have
Is
come up with. We are the user
is
of
it
a
is it
library,
that
Selenium.
in manage function window function is there? Is it something like that?
Yes,
Is it
yes, yes,
mean?
yeah, exactly that. So I go here, I say window, I say dot, I get a method window. Then I do a dot, I get maximize, something like this.
Okay, so
So
maximize in this maximize function is in this window function, right?
yes, yes. So you can check the interfaces like this. You can go in Java, you can go and click on these links, and it will take you to its actual implementations. But
Okay.
there is a method chaining pattern, basically a design pattern called as method chaining design pattern. Okay, like this. And this explains like what it is, why we use it. It just something comes under something called as fluent interface, okay, or DSL.
Okay.
Okay, and this helps in writing the code, and the user of the code. It gives fluency. Okay, so I can in a single line I can say driver manage window maximize, and this gives me, this fluency of writing the same thing, rather dividing it into multiple steps.
It's
And
used
this,
everywhere. Yeah.
yeah, is used, you will see this implementation of it almost everywhere. And the same thing is available here. For example, assertions dot assert that, and then I'm applying is equal to, and then I can do few more things inside. I can know, I say is equal to one more time. I can say many things basically, and this is all done by method chaining. Then is, so I can keep doing this. This is called as fluent interface. So this is the implementation, one of the implementation of fluent interface, or a method chaining design pattern. Okay, so we have few more sessions, Satya. So I think give it a try, huh?
Yeah,
Because it's important that you give it a try. Otherwise, what will happen is you will not be able to. I mean, you get the gist. You and I think everyone is getting what's happening. It just until you try it. Until you try it, that's where you will get stuck. So it's very important that you get stuck while trying and solve it, and then it will become, you'll get more familiarized with it. So what we want is that we have this framework and we automate at least 5 test cases, 10 test cases using this framework. And then while we do that, a lot of things will happen, will not work. And the effort and the struggle with in solving those errors will give you the learning which you need. Okay, I
okay,
think I'll create some assignments also, so that you give it a try. Maybe maybe assignments will help you
sure.
learn this faster. Okay. Okay.
Also, I will
Yeah.
I will add DevOps topics as well, which you told me, right?
Yes, please
In previous.
put those DevOps. I see it's important because there is no regular sessions, right? I have not planned
Yeah.
any regular sessions, right? So it's better you guys tell me what is it which you want to learn, and I go ahead and to take those sessions. So I think I've created somewhere here in the forum. I think there is add the topics here. Yeah, you put your topics here, whatever topics it is. If it's DevOps topics, then DevOps topics. For the next two classes, I think I'll still stick with the test automation. But from coming days onwards, I'll try to divide the session into 2 parts. Maybe few end of the sessions, I'll try more on DevOps. First half an hour, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 50 minutes, we'll do test automation. And then after 2-3 sessions, once test automation topics are over, we'll jump into the DevOps topics.
By the time you are
Okay.
covering this automation, I will refer your previous videos on DevOps.
Yeah, sure. I have a I think good enough playlist on
Yeah, I have
DevOps with
some.
AWS. Yeah,
Yeah.
and there also I started with the GitLab stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, so try that. I think I used to do. I think let me give you access to this Miro board also. There is this. I have a Miro board which let me log in there. I'll show you. So I used to draw a lot of things there, which
I
I
think
covered.
in the video itself in the description, you have put the link of
I
Miro.
have. Okay, I think it was this. So you can go through this also.
Mhm.
Maybe this is what we will do.
Yeah, this links I have.
You have, right?
Yeah.
Oops. I actually forgot there is, and there we have assignments also, Siddharth. I have lots of assignments I created here. So assignments for Docker, CI/CD, using AWS, Terraform, okay, compliance checks, Kubernetes. See, I have some certain assignments also. And so try these assignments. I think you can start with these assignments, basically, I would say. So this will help you in learning the DevOps aspects of things. Anyway, we're going to pick this up again later. But I'm thinking what else you can do. Okay. Yeah, this could be our direction again. We can start with our CI pipeline. We can play around with Kubernetes, cloud, and AWS, and all these things. I mean, we can try all this after I'm done with this test automation. We can then jump here. Maybe for Satya, it also be beneficial for you to jump
Yes,
into few DevOps topics.
yeah, I'll definitely attend.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. Fine. So we see each other next week then, huh?
Okay. Because one thing,
Yeah.
if we want to convert this to a package and use the methods in the current framework in other
Yeah.
project,
Can be done.
can you show me just now? Just give me idea, not practice
So
anything.
idea is very simple. So when you build a project, any project, first of all, you need to move all of this which you have, which you want to reuse. you will have to move it to the main method in the main package, not in the test package. So you have to
Okay.
go here. For example, I go here, I say file and not file, sorry, I say new directory, main Java. Okay, and then I will have to go and move all of this to my main Java. Fine. Once you do that, let's say I go and click on add. Once I have all this present here also, I have to remove it basically. Test is not what I want. I want to create a library. Then
Okay.
that's it. Then what you have to do is you need to run your Maven commands. Okay, the Maven command is, for example, when I say Maven clean install, what it really does is, let's see what it does. So okay, I need to skip the test. The skip tests. So eventually you will not have any tests here, right? Library which you want to we want to share, you will not have test in that library. You will only have reusable components. Okay. So once
Okay.
you have reusable components there, you will just build it. Why it's failing? Cannot find symbol. Right now, I think I have not properly migrated them. Maybe there is some issue. Okay, everything is broken up. So imagine I don't have all this. Let's keep it simple.
Okay.
Delete. Okay, import assertions, assert, improve. Okay, now I think it's okay. Okay, I don't need this. I don't need this. Okay, fine. Now if I run this again, even clean test. Come on. Okay, build success. So
Yeah.
once this happens, what really is actually happening behind the scene is that there is a jar file being created like this. Okay, where
Okay.
it's being created? It's being created in the target, which is this one. So when Maven, you say Maven clean install, it creates a jar file, and then it installs that jar file also into a M2 folder locally.
Okay.
Okay, so I have the jar file installed as well under this during session. This is the name of my jar file.
Okay.
Actually one is this one is the other one. There are two jar files actually which are created because I have two projects. Okay, this is the one which you want to see. This which just works for me. But this is just on my local. But if I want to publish this into a repository or Maven repository, I would need to say Maven clean deploy. The moment I say Maven clean deploy, it will deploy it to a reusable, sorry, it will deploy it to a central repository. Central repository can be your organization central repository, or it can be the actual Maven central repository. Once it goes there, then you can reuse it by calling the dependency directly in any separate POM file. Same way we are calling it, right? We are the same way we are doing for the other libraries, for example, Cucumber.
Okay.
The same way you have to put the signature of your project.
Okay.
Okay, so these are the steps. I'm not telling you exactly. I'm not showing you exactly because I don't have a repository. I'm not creating it, but perhaps I can try to show it. I come up with the actual demo of it and show that.
Okay.
But how you have to do is very clear. You need to have everything in your main file. Then you have to create a jar. Maven clean install creates a jar. Maven clean deploy creates a jar as well as deploy it. To deploy it, you need to configure the URL of the repository where you want to push it. Once it's deployed there or pushed there, then you need to then you are free to use it. Basically, you can just put that dependency into any of the project, and all the classes, everything will come to that project. Very
Okay.
similar to Cucumber Selenium and other such libraries. Okay.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay, cool. Any question, just put in the group. I'll try to reply.
Okay, sure.
Okay, guys. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you very much, Akash.